Yo, what is going on, guys? It's Cbrev. Welcome to another Showdown guide. Today I'm going to be walking you through the Stage 2 National League Showdown. For Stage 2 Team Affinities that were just released last Friday, there are only 2 new showdowns. I will be making a guide for the American League as well. And if you want to check out my 5 or 6 guides for Stage 1 showdowns, they are in the description below if you need to backtrack and get yourself to 70 points in the first place. But let's talk about these Stage 2 showdowns. If you guys didn't know, they are significantly nerfed. They are significantly easier than the Stage 1 showdowns. And because of that, it's a really bad idea to skip to the end of these showdowns. It's a really good idea to play it all the way through the slow way. The mini bosses are really easy compared to Stage 1. You should be able to beat them. They give lots of XP, and in general these moments in Showdown just give a lot of XP. So I think this was intentional. I don't think SDS really expected people to skip to the end the way that we did in Stage 1, and so please don't do that in this stage. Not only are the pitchers better, but you are missing out on so much XP by not playing it the slow way. So we're going to be playing the slow way, walking you through this one. But like I said, much easier this time around. It is 1,000 stubs to enter these. And you can see at the end of it, you get 5 NL Team Affinity vouchers. So they changed it from Stage 1. Stage 1 was division specific. This time it's just league specific. So when you get these 5 vouchers, you can apply them to any Team Affinity from the National League, and they will give you 4 points per voucher, or you will get 20 points per showdown completion. You also get 6,000 experience and your 1,000 stubs back. If you beat every moment through here, you're gonna maybe double or triple your stubs. You might come out with 2,000 or 3,000, which is a good deal. So let's go into the draft. They did update the draft pool as well to include all of the in-game cards and such. As far as the National League goes, it's a little hard to predict which end boss you will face. All of the end bosses in these new showdowns are Future Stars Team Affinity rewards. They're pitchers, there's 10 of them, and you will know which one it is when you get past the draft. But for the first draft, just try to take best available. I'm gonna go Sandberg here since he has pretty even splits, and then I'm gonna go Soto because he rakes. Here, in general, you want to take 1 closing pitcher and 1 starting pitcher, and that's it. Those are the only pitchers that you need for the entire showdown, because when you're pitching, they're either going to take your ace or your closer, so you only need 1 reliever and 1 starter. Also, I would try to pick guys that have quick deliveries as opposed to slow deliveries. You'll need to have a little bit of game knowledge for this, but I'm going to go closer here, and I'm definitely taking Goose Gossage over Seth Lugo or Gallegos because he has the fastest delivery. Pitching to the computer is pretty RNG, so I'm really just trying to get it over with as fast as possible. Moving on here, I'm going to go ahead and take a catcher because catcher's pretty shallow, and then we're just going to bust through this. We already took a reliever, so Lester's the only pick here. Then we're going to go Dickerson because he rakes. You guys will know who rakes and who doesn't just by playing through these. And then Conforto rakes, but I'm going to take Gregorius because shortstop, a little bit of a shallow position also. Talking about perks now, it's a little different than Stage 1. I still think Heart Attack is really good, but Heart Attack kind of falls off towards the end of the showdown this time because it's entirely possible to have a perfect run through this and end up at the last boss at a 15-15 score. In that scenario, perks don't really matter, but you won't be losing anymore per se. But we'll still take Heart Attack here, and then Defibrillator, one of the best bronze perks. But these perks will be upgraded throughout the run, so not a big deal. As always, make sure you're equipping your perks. Make sure you're going into Manage Squad and making sure that everyone looks okay. Definitely want to play Smoke over Cooper here because he just hits better. And that looks fine. So as far as lineup goes, in Stage 1, I would put my best hitter first and my second best hitter 8th. I don't recommend this for Stage 2. What I recommend for Stage 2 is to put your best hitter 3rd, your second best hitter 4th, and then for leadoff, I would put a decent hitter with decent speed, so Corey Dickerson actually works out well there. And then for your second hitter, I would put a decent hitter as well. So we'll go like this. The reason is sometimes they put you in and your 3 or 4 hole is hitting because guys are already on base. and sometimes they put you in with your leadoff guy hitting. So that's kind of just how I like to structure it. From 3 downwards, I just do best hitters that I can line up. So we'll do it this way, and that's fine. Not a big deal because we will be upgrading these as we go along. So as you can see above my face now, it shows a Reds emblem. So like I said, all of these end bosses are future stars pitchers from the Team Affinities. So now we know that our final boss is Nick Lodolo from the Reds, and we know that he is a left-handed pitcher. So as we work through the showdown, we're going to be facing a lot of righties still. I think it's a better strategy to approach beating each individual moment than to beat the final boss, because like I said, these moments are significantly nerfed, and the more times that you can win, the easier the final boss is going to be anyway. But it's good to keep in mind that our end boss is left-handed. As we get to the final 3 moments, we maybe want to start tailoring our roster more towards right-handed hitters or guys that just hit lefties in general. It's just a good idea to know who you're facing, but like I said, don't go spamming your lineup with righties just because we're facing Lodolo at the end. We still want to do our best to beat every moment. So NL is a little bit different than AL. You can see these first 3 moments are 1 run, and 2 runs, and then it goes 1 run after the first boss, and then everything else is 2. This is different in the American League. In the American League, it goes 1-1-1, and then after the first boss, everything is 2. I don't know if they did this accidentally or what, but I'm pointing it out because the way I've been playing this through is, honestly, I've been skipping every moment that just gives you 1 run and focusing on the ones that give you 2 runs. Now, if you're struggling to beat Showdown in general, you definitely want to be playing through every single moment except for the 2 that I'm going to blacklist for you. It just depends on how much help you think you need at the final boss, how many runs you think you'll need. I also want to stress again that these mini bosses where you can fail, they are so much easier this time. I will show you when we get there. So do not stress, do not feel like you have to skip to the end when you get to these points, because you can definitely beat these. So there's 2 specific mini moments in the National League that you want to skip no matter what. One of them is some play on words about a Zach Brown band song, because Zach Brown, the Milwaukee Brewers pitcher, is going, and that moment is just stupid to play through. You need like a certain number of hits, certain number of runs, certain number of strikeouts. Like, it's pretty much a conquest game with requirements. So please skip that one. And the other one is you have to come back against the Marlins in the 7th inning. I would skip that one as well, because it ends up being a 3-inning game pretty much. You're dropped into the 7th inning and it says win the game, so you have to play 3 full innings. Probably not worth your time. There's 2 more that you could debatably skip. I would play them through if you think you're going to struggle with the last boss. I would skip them if you think you're not going to struggle. One of them is get 3 strikeouts in 2 innings on the mound. I skip this one because playing 3 half innings takes a little bit of time. And then the other one that I like to skip is hit a home run. I think in the National League, this is against Kyle Wright in the Atlanta Braves. The reason I skip this one is because sometimes even if you're putting perfect swings on the ball, you just don't get a home run. So it's one of those that you could knock it out immediately, or it could take a full 3 innings. So I just go ahead and skip that. So just to reiterate, if you think you're going to struggle, do every moment. The XP is good anyway, and it will help you in the end. If you think you're not going to struggle at the end, skip all the 1-run challenges and skip the 4 that I mentioned previously. So we're going to go ahead and play through this. I am going to skip the 1 runs, and then we'll talk about what this 2 run is, and then we'll talk about the first boss. So I'm going to play this through. I'll catch you guys in a sec. Alright, so we did skip through the first 2 1-run moments, and we beat the 3rd one. One of the 1-run moments was ones that I kind of recommend skipping anyway, hit a home run against Kyle Wright, so that kind of worked out well. You guys have also put in the comments before, like when I recommended skipping the 1-run moments before, like, well, sometimes they're super easy, so I just play them anyway, and that's totally fine. I want to make sure that's clear. Playing these 1-run moments is totally fine. Just for me personally, I don't think they're worth the time of getting 1 run and 300 XP from them, so I skip them. That's just my approach. I would rather get to these mini bosses and these juicier moments quicker than get these little boosts in the beginning, but that's just my personal preference. So one of the ones we skipped, you could definitely do pretty quickly. You're bottom of the 8th in an 8-8 game, and you have to take the lead and then close it out. The one we played, kind of the same thing, but it's a 2-2 game against the Phillies. So like I said, they made this showdown much easier. A lot of these little moments are much easier as well. And now let's talk about these mini bosses. So we landed on Trevor Hoffman, who's a 90 overall diamond, which is kind of unlucky, but it's not a big deal because they made these bosses much easier as well. In the previous guides, I would tell you who the potential bosses were because there was only about 3 of them that you could get. Now it's a crapshoot. You could get literally any diamond legend or flashback in the game as far as I know in these mini bosses. So the only sure thing we know is that we're getting Lodolo at the end. These mini bosses could be literally anyone that's a diamond in the National League. So I don't think they did a live series for this. They're flashbacks and legends, but there's so many options it could be. Rather than talk about how to beat specific pitchers, I'm just going to help you with these little moments because I think they've kind of flipped the script in that these little moments really help you towards the end, and beating the mini bosses isn't as big of a deal now. So let me load in to this boss battle against Trevor Hoffman, and I'll show you why it's so much easier. Now it's 2-0 with 12 outs, and we already have a runner on second base. So compare this to the previous Stage 1 showdowns where it was 3-0 with 12 outs remaining and you had no one on base. Now it's 2-0 and you already have a guy in scoring position, which if you get a base hit at any time, pretty much guarantees him to score. So much easier. You definitely don't want to sleepwalk through these though. Let me reiterate our core principles when we're doing these showdown boss battles. You want to be hyper conservative on the base paths. Taking that extra base is almost always not worth it in showdown unless you are trying to get yourself out of a forced play situation. Once a guy gets on base, as long as you're safe or he doesn't get doubled off, he's pretty much guaranteed to score at some point. So you want to be conservative with your base paths. You want to be taking a lot of pitches. You want to be patient, try not to swing at pitches on the corner. Easier said than done. I also have found trying to stay away from pitches low helps me a lot because double plays are absolutely killer. We want to stay out of double plays in this situation. I won't talk about Trevor Hoffman specifically just because you guys could get literally anyone else, but our core principles of beating showdown still apply here. There's also a way to help yourself get out of force out situations and steal with a lot of guys in your lineup. I'm not going to discuss it in this video. You can ask around the community for it, but there is a way to help yourself out a lot in regards to that. So I'm going to beat Trevor Hoffman, and then we'll catch you guys in the next set of moments. Alright, so we did beat Trevor Hoffman. I actually hit back-to-back home runs, so we got it knocked out super quick. Also, the difficulty is on veteran. If you didn't see that before, these mini bosses are on veteran difficulty, and I believe the final boss is on veteran as well. I think everything's on veteran now, which makes it much easier, like I said. So this one's worth 1 run. Score 3 runs in the first 2 innings without allowing 2 runs. I know specifically on this one, they throw you in with the bases loaded already, so even though this only gives 1 run, I'm going to play through it, and then I'll recap you guys on these other 2. So we did beat all 3 of these moments, which gave us 5 additional runs towards the last boss. I'll just talk about the 3 moments that I played through. This one, Medina is in Adonis. Score 3 runs in the first 2 innings without allowing 2 runs. Sounds like it would take a while, but they put you in with the bases loaded. So for this moment, having your best hitter 4th would be good if you're one of those guys that wants to change your lineup every time you go into these moments. Yeah, bases loaded, nobody out. So I hit a home run and it was over with right away. Next one, overcome the Rockies. You're down 6-5 in the bottom of the 9th. You will face Adam Ottavino in this one, and you have a runner on first base with no one out. So your number 2 hole is where you're going to start going through your lineup, and your leadoff guy is going to be on first base in this one. So you just got to come back and win the game. And then Killer Keller going up against the Pirates, tally 1 extra base hit and score 2 runs. So this will start you with your leadoff. You're just starting the game in the first inning, and you just need an extra base hit and 2 runs. So really not too bad. Like I said, they nerfed these moments a lot. Again, don't forget to go to your squad, update your lineup after every draft that you get a new player and new perk. As far as perks, as you start getting into gold and diamond perks, in my opinion, the best perks for this are Inner Peace. Sorry, let me say them in order. The best perk is Clear for Takeoff for gold and diamond. The second best perk is Jumpstart, and the third best perk is Inner Peace. So these are going to give you the most benefit as you move through this. Like I said, for these stage 2, Heart Attack isn't as good as it was in stage 1, because it's entirely possible that you're into the last boss battle with a ton of runs, and in some of the mini moments you're not always losing. So that's why I said it that way. So yeah, Clear for Takeoff, Jumpstart, Inner Peace, those are the best for gold and diamond perks, and Insider Info and Oppo Taco are decent diamond perks as well, although their gold versions aren't very good. So you can see our second mini boss is Tom Glavine. So let me load in here. Again, it's random, could be any diamond or flashback pitcher from, or sorry, could be any diamond legend or flashback pitcher from the National League. But you can see the second boss battle is even easier than the first one. It's the same scenario as the first one. We're down 2-0 with a runner on second, but now we have 15 outs instead of 12. These mini boss battles have really been nerfed. You guys really shouldn't have any problems beating these, especially the second one. Glavine is a lefty, so we put our righties at the top of the lineup. But remember our core principles: stay out of double plays, be conservative on the base pass, try to take some pitches and not swing at stuff on the corners. You guys can do this. I'm going to beat Tom Glavine, and we'll talk about the last third of this showdown. Down goes Glavine. We got a diamond batter and a diamond perk. Like I said, these mini bosses, not too difficult. And now's the point where you kind of want to start pivoting your lineup towards the handedness of the end boss if you haven't already. As we already noted, Lodolo is a lefty, so I've been lucky enough to grab some guys from my lineup like Acuna, Machado, Bryant, guys that really hit lefties well. The other lefty in the National League would be from the Rockies, so if you see the Rockies down in the left corner, that is a lefty as well. Otherwise, it's going to be a right-handed pitcher. Let me bust through the rest of these 3 moments, and then we'll talk about the final boss. I would recommend playing each and every one of these last 3 moments, unless they're the 2 moments that I mentioned as blacklisted for yourself. Those being the Zach Brown moment and the comeback against the Marlins. Even with the rewards in this final third of the showdown, it's still not worth it to do those 2. They just take way too long. So we're going to beat these 3, and I'll talk about them afterwards. So we did end up beating all 3 of these moments, so we are sitting pretty. It's 15-13 now for our final boss battle. Yeah, it's going well. So the first moment was Friar's Faithful Pen. This is very similar wording to the Marlins one I'm telling you guys to skip, but it is different in the fact that this moment ends the second you score 3 runs, as opposed to the Marlins one where the condition is to win the game and it drops you in the 7th inning. So the Marlins one forces you to play 3 innings. This one, if you can score 3 runs right away, you're sitting pretty. And I believe there's a runner on base in this one, so you start with your 2-hole hitter. So there's a little bit of a boost there too. Next one I did was called Take the House from Jason. Kind of the same thing, but it's in the 8th inning. This is another moment that ends as soon as you score 3 runs. In this one, there's a runner on second base, and it's actually your 7th hole that's hitting. So be prepared to pinch hit for your 9-hole, warm someone up. And if you want to change your lineup for every moment, make sure your best hitters are 7, 8, 1, 2 for this one, but pretty easy there. And then the last one was Comeback against Diaz. This was very easy. It's actually a tie game in the bottom of the 9th, and your leadoff hitter is on first base. So if you want to edit your lineup, put someone fast as your leadoff and put your best hitters 2, 3, 4. That should help you with this one. So we actually only ran into one of the 4 moments that I talked about, and it was early on in a 1-run moment, so that's good. If you want to save the most time, again, skip all 4 of those. If you feel like you need the boost, play the 2 that are on the border, but please do not play the Marlins comeback, and please do not play the Zach Brown moment. So again, as we're going to hop into these boss battles, and I should have talked about this with the mini bosses too, but the boss battles are hitting only, obviously. So you want to put your best hitters everywhere that you can. Position does not matter. Does not matter if they're out of position. Luckily for me, I mean, it still doesn't matter, but everyone has a correct position. And we've got 8 righties in our lineup to take on this Nick Lodolo. So let's load in here. Gonna be pretty easy. We got 20 outs. We only got to score 3 runs. The final boss battle conditions haven't changed in Stage 2. It still starts you at 15-0, and you add on to it as you play through, and you still have 20 outs and no one on base. So as far as beating these final boss battles, I feel like it's a little easier this time as well because your lineup and perks get so much better than in stage 1 because it's more likely that you beat the little moments. So even if it's only like 15 to 5, 15 to 7, something like that, don't be discouraged because you should have more gold and diamond perks and players in your lineup than you did in stage 1. Again, I'm not going to talk about each pitcher specifically because there's too many of them. Just remember that they're always going to be future stars from the Team Affinities, so you should know right away who you're facing when you're done with the initial draft. And remember our core principles: stay out of double plays, be conservative on the base paths, try not to swing at pitches on the corner. I'm going to take away my face cam and my mic, and you guys can watch me play through this Nick Lodolo final boss battle. Probably will be pretty quick. I'm going to be hyper aggressive at the plate as well because I do have jump start and clear for takeoff. If you have a much bigger deficit than I do right now, please try to be patient and work some walks. A lot of these future stars pitchers don't have the highest walks per 9 attribute. So yeah, for me specifically, I'm in a really good spot, so I'm going to be aggressive at the plate. But if you are losing by a lot or you don't feel like your lineup's very good, please be patient. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end the guide. Let me know what you thought down on the comment section below. If you have any questions, I do read those comments. I'll try to get back to you. A like would be much appreciated as well. If you made it this far, I appreciate it a ton. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next time.